Got it.
It's connecting. Well, what in the world? Oh, yeah. Good evening, District 40 Toastmasters and friends.
Hola, hola.
Welcome to our November podcast episode. My name's Althea. I'm here with my besties, Lamar,
Hola.
Angie,
What's
and
up, good people?
Sydney. Welcome. How y'all doing today?
Doing swell, doing well.
Not too shabby.
Awesome sauce. I'm so happy that you guys are here today. We have a wonderful episode with a great guest. I can't wait to introduce her here in a second. But before we get into all of that, I just want to check in with the co-host to see how you all have been since the last time we met. What's new?
Well, I've gotten to experience my first few weeks of no grad school, and it is delicious.
Yes, how does it feel? Delicious.
Feels like I can have time to sleep again.
Yeah, for sure. So remind us, Sydney, would you go back to school to get your master's in?
Actually, I got my master's in data science, although I didn't expect it to be useful in the way it was, but it turned out to be better than expected.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Angela, how have you been?
I've been great. I got a new 16-year-old in the house, a new puppy in the house, and my NFL team's number one in our division. So
all right,
going
go
strong this month.
Good month for the Steelers. Awesome.
Yeah. How about you, Lamar? What's up?
You know, I'm just enjoying and living life, really have been enjoying the fruit of my labor and just good company. It's been really great. So I've really been appreciative of the support that I have in my life right now. So I'm in a state of gratitude right now.
I love that. I love to hear that. Well, before we get into our episode, I want to take an opportunity to share with you all our Toastmasters podcast vision statement. And actually, I'm sorry, mission statement. And our mission statement simply is to educate and to entertain our listeners and viewers by providing a positive and supportive experience to help our listeners and viewers develop stronger communication and leadership skills. And it's customary with all of our Toastmasters meeting that we introduce a word of the day. And Lamar, you kind of hit the nail on the head with the word gratitude. Our word of the day is grateful. And
Grateful,
grateful. That word simply means appreciative of benefits received. An example of how to utilize the word grateful in a sentence. I am grateful for Toastmasters because it provides a supportive community and an opportunity to grow as a stronger communicator and leader.
My.
I'm truly grateful to be here with you all as my podcast co-hosts. And so anyone that's taking the lead or the speaking platform, please utilize the word of the day. So now we're going to transition into our first segment. And as you can see, we have a special guest that has joined us, and I'm going to take the opportunity to read her bio. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming to our podcast episode, Division E Director Judy Smith. Judy is a distinguished Toastmaster and is a member of the Articulate Revenuers Toastmasters Club in Florence, Kentucky, Newport Toastmasters in Newport, Kentucky, and Mountain Movers in Pikeville, Kentucky, and is celebrating a whopping 34 years of membership with Toastmasters. That is amazing. Judy joined Toastmasters in District 10 and then moved to District 40 because of a job transfer in early 1999. She earned her DTM in October of 2017 and has served as an assistant area director in District 10. She also served as area director here in District 40 twice, once earning President's Distinguished Area and other times Distinguished Area. Like I mentioned previously, Judy is currently serving as our Division E Director. Please join me in welcoming Judy to our podcast. Welcome, Judy. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. I'm so happy to have you on with us this evening, and we can't wait to learn more about you and your division. So with that, I'm actually going to turn things over to Angela to kick things off with a couple of questions.
Hey, Judy. Nice
Hey,
to
Angela.
meet you. You are actually closer in proximity than any of these people to me. I'm glad to see another Northern Kentuckian. I'm out here in Independence right now. Where are you located?
Right now I'm in Fort Thomas at the library because my Newport meeting is meeting in the other room, and if I get done with this, I'm going there.
Right over there.
Oh, okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
actually living in Independence also, so
Oh, that's funny. I used to live in Fort Thomas before we came out here. Well, I'm grateful to get to talk to you today. I was intrigued by your bio, not bio, when I saw the words assistant area director. I'm intrigued by this title. Can you elaborate more on what an assistant area director position might hold or responsibilities?
the area director at that time was Linda Joseph in District 10, and she went on to become the district director later on. So I had a good leader, but we were a group of downtown Cleveland clubs. And so I was just helping her, assisting her, helping get the contest set up, because at that point we had 2 contests. We had humorous speech and table topics in the summer, late summer, fall. And then in the springtime, we had international speech and evaluation contests. So we would rotate between all the clubs in downtown, each time a different club hosting it. So it'd work with the club. So everybody in all the clubs knew how to put on an area contest, because everybody got the opportunity to be part of the hosting group. It was really, really good, good experience for everyone. So I was just helping her, kind of grooming myself for the following year. Well, when it came time for the following year, she asked me if I had enough time for being an area director. And she advised me that if I did not have enough time to commit to it, to not commit to it. So I ended up not committing to it until I got down to District 40. But it gave me a good experience just to get your feet wet, see what you can do, and without having all that responsibility on you for the first time around. So it was a good experience, especially with Linda Joseph as my area director.
That sounds like a great opportunity. We were just discussing earlier about this distinguished Toastmaster master status, and I was just wondering, is there anything, if you think back to when you were working towards your DTM, is there any advice or tricks of the trade or anything specific that you think helped you get to that level, or something that might be helpful for folks trying to get there?
What I have to say about DTM is that the journey is half the fun. I did not want what I call a paper DTM. When I got my DTM, I wanted to have developed the skill set that reflected a distinguished Toastmaster. So I took my time. I'm also a bit of a perfectionist. It took me about 10 years to come up with the project that I thought was difficult enough for my DTM project. But once I had the concept, then I rolled with it and I got that part done, because that was one of the last things I had to do. But it took me 27 years to get my DTM. People don't have to take that long. But like I said, I wanted to have developed the skill set that reflected a DTM, which is why I took my time and enjoyed the journey.
I think that's so insightful. Yeah, I mean, you can knock these things out and you can check all these boxes with just our levels or things to get to a DTM. And it's like, what does that mean if I'm not developing the skills that it's really trying to hone in me and instill that confidence? That was a great answer. Thank you so much, Judy. Sydney, did you have any questions for Judy?
Well, as long as we're on the topic of DTMs, what did you find you enjoyed most aside from the journey, but what either in the process of obtaining it or in using it afterwards?
One of the things that I really thoroughly enjoy are visiting other clubs. So I have visited probably 50 different clubs in 13 different states and the District of Columbia. I would travel for business and I would take the zip code for the hotel and I would put it in to find a club.
Nice.
And then I would go to Toastmasters clubs in the area where the hotel was. Sometimes I didn't have a ride to the Toastmasters meeting, and you'd call the club and say that you're at a hotel. Would they come over? And people would come over to the hotel, pick me up, and take me back to their meeting and bring me back afterwards. It was awesome. I've been a guest speaker twice in Woodbridge, New Jersey for 2 different groups. If you want to get outside your comfort zone, go to a group you've never met anyone there. People would say to me, well, aren't you afraid you're going in front of strangers? I said, Toastmasters are just friends I haven't met yet. They're not strangers because we're all there for the same purpose. We're all there to improve. I've been a guest evaluator in a club in Austin, Texas. I've been a guest grammarian in a club in Chicago. And I have super, super fun stories from different meetings that I've been to that I can then incorporate into other workshops that I do or international speech contests. Some of you have heard about my meeting in Chicago where I met Press Vasilev at his very, very first Toastmasters meeting.
Wow, that's awesome.
3 years later, he was international speech, world champion of public speaking. When I met him that first or second night, because we went to 3 meetings that week, and he was at all 3 meetings. When I was talking with him, I told him that he would go far in this organization, and if he entered speech contests, he would win.
Wow.
A year and a half later, he wrote to me telling me he had won the evaluation contest in their district. Another year and a half later, or 3 years from the start, he was world champion of public speaking.
That's awesome.
When I saw him at that conference and I walked up to him, he said, I remember you. You told me I would go far in this organization, and if I entered speech contests, I would win. And of course, that story I developed into my own international speech contest entry, which was the impact of words.
Nice. That's amazing.
That is amazing. Thank you.
Well, I'll go ahead and ask a question here. So you were previously in District 10, which is in Northeastern Ohio. And although you joined District 40 some time ago, do you recall like any big differences between what your membership experience was like in District 10 versus what it's like now in District 40?
District 10 tends to be open to new ideas. There were things we did in District 10 that I have never seen in District 40. One of them we were attempting to bring to the conference in May. And one of what I'm talking about is it was called a CTM challenge. So people could come to the conference and give their 10th speech in the manual and earn their CTM, their Competent Toastmaster or Competent Communicator at the conference. Oh, nice. So we'd have a bunch of people in the audience. We'd have some speakers in the audience, and then the district would get evaluators to evaluate these people. So not only are you going outside your comfort zone of your own club to give your 10th speech, but you're also getting a totally different evaluator who can give you some different feedback that your own club couldn't give you. So we're going to be having at the conference the complete a level challenge.
Nice.
So we're going to have people who are interested in completing a level at the conference. They can get a completely different evaluator that will be in the audience. They can meet with their evaluator beforehand, and we're just going to see how many people are interested in having a different audience, having a different evaluation team, and we're going to see how it goes.
That's pretty awesome. I've never heard of that before, and I'm really excited that District 40 is open to doing something creative like this. I can't wait to see the members that will take advantage of this opportunity to not only get before a group of people that you're typically not speaking in front of, but then also get an evaluation, a different perspective from someone else within the district. So I think that's a great opportunity. Angela and Sydney, if you're still looking for opportunities to do more speeches, this might be one for you. Yes, indeed. So I have another question before I turn things over to Lamar. So bring us into the world of what is unique about this Division E. What unique challenges do the members in your division experience, and how are you, as their division director, able to help them navigate or mitigate those challenges?
Division E is geographically large. We have members from Cincinnati. We have members from as far away as Huntington, West Virginia, Pikeville, Kentucky. We're even thinking about having one in Charleston. So it's difficult to get a middle ground geographically to find the place for club officers training or TLI or contests for division level. The area levels you can have at their particular geographical locations, but when you get to the division level, now you've got people from a broad range of areas coming together, and you don't want to exclude anybody. So you're still trying to come up with a good mix of distances.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest one. Another thing that was happening before last year, some of the clubs said that they had not been visited by anyone from the district in like 4 years. So there were a lot of clubs that were struggling with things. And if you have some experiences like I've had in the past, you can bring those experiences, and they found it refreshing to have somebody with a depth of experience to talk to and talk through some of the things that they were experiencing, and just having different ideas on how to fix things, because they're at a loss. And when you've rebuilt clubs and brought them back from the brink, you have those experiences to share with other people and say, here's something to try. Here's something that's different that you maybe not have ever thought about doing this. So
that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you as far as there being geographical challenges within that area. But, I'm happy to know that you are there to help them figure out, what's going to work best for that division so that they can be successful. So thank you for sharing that, Judy. And I'll go ahead and turn things over to Lamar to close out our interview segment with you. Lamar.
Thank you, Althea. I appreciate that, fellow DTM, as Judy is DTM. And it ought to be really interesting to hear how the conference that's coming up, with actually being in Kentucky, it ought to be really interesting to be there and to be able to meet other Kentucky folks from Kentucky. So I'm really excited about the upcoming conference. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to really ask you, because what I've recognized and saw and seen, that when someone reaches the status of a DTM, you can sort of rest on your laurels and say, I've done it. There's nothing left for me to do. But not you, Judy. You taking on the role of now a division director, and you about to go right into a meeting after here. You're on the call with us. You're continuing to challenge yourself to grow. And so I would love for you to challenge all of District 40 DTMs and how they can continue to impact those who are coming after them, who are learning the process. Because I really see, for me, and this is just what I'm recognizing with my own two eyes, that there's a gap between the level of engagement with other people who aren't DTMs. So I want you to challenge DTMs here who will look at this and see this on a recording and or watching it live. So what are some of your thoughts around this, Judy?
last year, I never intended to be an area director. I just wasn't. I had already done that. There was no room for growth for me. When I talked to Sarah Sturgeon, who was Division E director last year, her enthusiasm was so infectious. I thought, man, I want to be on your team. So I agreed to be an area director, but I didn't want to be an area director of the same area I had been an area director in the previous time, which was in 2010-11. So I volunteered to go to Lexington. Well, Lexington had 2 areas. So I took one of them that had Huntington. But then I felt really bad because the other 4 5 clubs down there didn't have anybody. So I kind of adopted them. So I had 10 clubs last year that I was going to visit, offering them suggestions. And there were things, I went to a really solid club and I'm like, man, what am I going to suggest to these people? I don't have nothing to suggest. But upon closer examination, I was able to come up with something to offer them. So it was really kind of exciting for me that I could still give this club that's super polished something that they could improve on. So that was kind of fun. So sometimes you just think that you're done, you've done everything that you can, but then you look at what other people have given to you and you think about what you could give to the next generation. Because we can all learn even from the younger generation. We can learn from them in addition to us teaching them. So it's good to not only look inwardly, like what you can get out of it, because you can grow so much by helping other people grow as well. So I really like that idea of just, we've been given so much, so let's time to pay back. And by paying back, we foster the next set of leaders.
Well said. Judy, this has been really good. I've never really had the time to really interact with you and to hear you share and speak. I've seen you on some of the calls and whatnot, but this has been really insightful to see this side of you on this particular podcast. So really do appreciate you taking time and being here with us and being able to open up and share some thoughts and concepts. Is really informative. 34 years, still excited after 34 years of being in Toastmasters. That's a big deal. So really do appreciate you. On behalf of myself and my co-host, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure to have you. So definitely looking forward to being able to have more conversations with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and take care. We'll see you at the conference in springtime.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I love how
Thank you, Judy.
whenever we have conversations and we have guests that come on that kind of reiterate what we've discussed, I think it's always great. I love the fact that Judy just kind of shared with us that it's a journey, right? It's not about checking the box to do all the things with your DTM. It took her time, and she was intentional about picking the right project that's going to challenge her so that she feels that she's going to earn that DTM. So those of you that are contemplating that next step in your Toastmasters journey and really want to get the DTM, take some advice from Miss Judy and just really be intentional about how you're going to approach this project. Take your time. There's no rush. This is really person-centered, person-driven, and you make your journey your own. So again, thank you, Judy, again, Division E Director, for being on our podcast. And with that, I think I'm going to turn things over to Lamar to cover our next segment.
All right. So I could not agree more with the opportunity of learning from Judy, and I am grateful. I'm grateful for this opportunity to get into our next segment, and that is, what did we learn? And I want to pass things over to Angela to share what are some of those things that you have learned. So definitely looking forward to hearing more. So the floor is yours, Angela.
Now, these are, I don't want to say learned, but more some things that I've observed over the past month. I feel like I'm constantly talking about contest season coming up, but once again, contest season is coming up and Thanksgiving is coming up. And guess what? Like, I am thankful for people like Judy, people like my co-hosts that are leaders in this organization, and just thinking about getting emails about the area contest, and then I'm putting on my club contest as well, and just thinking about also what it takes to develop. And I feel like as a Toastmaster, taking on roles and doing new things like signing up, not only signing up to be speakers for speech contests, but signing up for these leaders need people to engage and be judges or timers or greeters or anything, just a little outside your comfort zone. And they're there for you all year long. So I'm thankful for those people and just hope that I can be a part of somebody that engages and helps them with what they're trying to do, putting on an area contest, making it the best they can be. But it also, on a personal level, it instills confidence. It's one of those things where I signed up for Toastmasters thinking, oh, if I just keep doing speeches, if I keep doing more speeches, I'm going to get more confident, and that's what's going to do it. I'm just going to bang out as much as I can until I feel comfortable here. But through contests and conferences and going to different clubs, I've gained more confidence in building these relationships and meeting those people that I just think that even does it more for me as far as building that confidence where I'll be able to speak better. And I think it goes full circle. You're helping them, and we're thankful for our leadership, but at the same time, it's helping you taking on a new role in your club or area contest. So just when those emails come out, just sign up, be a timer. You know how to be a timer. Everybody knows how to be a timer. Just do it. You'll meet another timer from a different club and start creating a network and building that confidence. And I just think I've been very thankful for that. And you guys helping giving me that opportunity. And I was just blown away with Judy's insights. Yeah, like we don't want to check these boxes off, even as area directors and whatever directors, that's part of checking a box still. And she wanted there to be substance there. And she wanted to be a distinguished Toastmaster, not just like check all these boxes so that she could check that box and have those letters. And I think that was great. So that was a lot, but sign up for your speech contests, area contests, club contests, not only as speakers, but all those. It takes a lot of roles to fill a contest and make it go off without a hitch. So just do that for your people. So,
You know, Angela, thank you so much. That was well said and well spoken. I really resonated with that as I think about how I've developed my confidence, and it's taken on the role, like you said, a timer, counter slash grammarian. It's being the the general evaluator. It's taking on one of those roles, and until I felt more confident with taking on a role as a Toastmaster. But I started small, and I made it a goal to be intentional with every time that I came to a meeting that I was going to take on a role until I just got more and more and more confident. So I could not agree more with how you develop your confidence. You said not just so much in the speeches, but it's in everything, all of it encompassing. So love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now I want to go over to my co-host Sydney. What are some of the things that you have learned?
There's several things I could point to, Lamar, but one of the things I like the most is something we have to share here is the concept of feedback. There are many different words in life we fear, and I think feedback tends to be one of them. It can be couched as different feelings of like you could substitute different kinds of words in your head, in your emotional mind's eye, like gaslighting or criticism or just being told you suck. There's all kinds of
Mhm.
phrases we tend to have in our culture, either embodied or spoken to us directly. Verbal abuse. That could be
Mhm.
that's rather or harassing. That's a rather harassing and hot example, rather emotionally polarizing. But we if we bring it back to home base, the heart of Toastmasters is feedback. I'll share my
Mhm.
screen here real quick. In Basecamp, one thing I like is that they kind of overhauled the design to be not only streamlined, but to focus a little more on the achievements you get and the evaluations and the feedback you get. So you can actually give feedback and evaluate feedback. You can request it, you can give it, you can do like they do in if you've ever seen the Teams app that lets you send congratulations to your fellow members, you can do that here in Toastmasters. You can make it visible to all your club members. And
Can
personally,
I
I don't
ask
Mm.
spend.
Sydney, was that new with the new base camp rollout,
Yep,
or
that's
has this
yep,
always
I
been
believe
here?
so, yes.
mhm.
Okay.
That's part of the new LMS. Yep, it is.
And actually, if you go into individual projects, you can select the project from a pull-down menu. See if I can find it here. Just go into one of my pathways here, and if you select a project, you can actually there's a step where you can actually select your evaluator as well. So I'll just go to the icebreaker here once it loads.
Yeah, feedback is so important.
It really is.
Yeah.
So let's see here. It's not quite loading the way I expected, but there's a spot here where you can actually select one of your clubs and select a specific person who's agreed to be your evaluator and email them your evaluation
Mm.
resource.
That's good.
See if I can find it here. I believe, yeah. You can also print it out as a PDF file like usual. But what's
Mhm.
nice is if you go here, I think it's next to last menu. Yes. Every project has an area we can reflect on things you've learned, such as I know my strengths as a communicator or things I've learned. Like I learned the skills I need to improve my communication. But you can also
Mhm.
select your speech title, the day of your speech, even select your evaluation resource that is specific to your pathway. And I think that feedback not only is important to realize that it helps you grow, but it's been kind of vilified as this thing that, like when you have your one-on-ones with your manager, or you have
Mhm.
just your wife tells you how to do the dishes better. Don't don't be too defensive, as is our want. Take it and run with it because
Mhm.
evaluations are kind of well, I think prepared speeches and table talks are by far away my favorite parts of a meeting. Evaluations are unsung heroes that help you to grow.
Yeah.
So if you
Mhm.
use some of these feedback tools, it'll help you, I think, especially with the redesign of Basecamp.
Yeah. Hey, Sydney, can I ask you real quick, since you've been playing around there in the new LMS, like how are you
Yes,
liking
ma'am.
it?
It's adequate. There's some room for improvement still, but again, I'm also hard to please when it comes to computer interfaces. But but I actually do like it.
Coming
I think
from a
it's
master's of data science guy,
Yeah.
so
that doesn't make me a computer science guy, but I happen to study a lot about that stuff, those kinds of topics lately, so it's pretty good. It's definitely an
Awesome.
improvement over the old one.
Sure, sure. That's awesome.
Angela, what have you learned this month? Or
Well, Angela already shared what she learned. I'd love
right, I meant to say Althea and I had a brain fart. So Althea, what have you learned?
it's all good. So I think I'm not sure, maybe Angela may have touched on this before, but of course we're in the holiday season now. And with that, I'm probably
happy holidays.
yeah. We had a holiday that's coming up next week with Thanksgiving. Great time to show gratitude and thankfulness for the year and those people that are in your life. And I know that a lot of clubs are probably contemplating about celebrating the holidays together. And for some reason, we have just been talking a lot this episode about completing projects and earning your
Mm.
DTM and your time and being intentional about the projects that you take on, the roles that you sign up for in the district. So I just wanted to encourage you all that we have a short amount of time to get a lot of things done, right? So take your time as you're doing this, but then also try to seek opportunities to complete projects as you're doing things. So, for example, all of us here could use our participation on this podcast to help us meet one of our project electives. Okay. If you are going to serve, and I think, Angela, you may have mentioned this, are you serving as the contest chair for your club's speech contest, or are you serving in any role?
Yeah, I think I'll be the contest chair.
So you could potentially use that as you are working with your club leaders to schedule it, to do all the planning. That could be a project in one of your paths or even with your HPL. So it really just depends. So I just basically want to encourage you all that as you are thinking about the holidays and creating some fun gatherings for you and your club members to enjoy each other and to be grateful and thankful for this year of Toastmasters and where we're going to in 2025. Also, utilize this opportunity to maybe achieve some of those projects or electives that you haven't quite yet been able to squeeze in there because all of the members on your club want to speak and you can't find an opportunity to speak at a club meeting. Maybe you can use another opportunity outside of the club to be able to do so. Like Judy mentioned, I think having a speechathon is kind of what it sounds like to me at the conference. I think will be a great opportunity, especially for those clubs that have individuals that can help them achieve those DCP goals. This is a great opportunity to get before an entire group of well-established and seasoned Toastmasters and get those quality evaluations like Sydney mentioned. That's the cornerstone of your Toastmasters experience. It's getting that evaluation. That evaluation is going to help you grow. It's going to help you develop. It's going to help you become stronger and more effective. So again, just wanted to encourage you all that as you are planning to get together with your friends and family during the holiday season and your club members, maybe seek out unique ways for you to achieve some of your club or your pathway electives and projects and help your club achieve their distinguished status, as well as helping you getting closer to your goal of DTM if that is your goal. But with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, Lamar.
Well said, Althea. Well said. When I was hearing what you were saying, Sydney, about that part about feedback, I hated it. I hated it for a lot of the reasons that you just made mention. Are these people really trying to help me out? What? I don't know about that word they just said. I really did not want to buy into that process of getting feedback, to be quite honest with you. And then as I had gotten more feedback, and then I put myself in a position to get feedback, I really recognized that there was no other way to grow outside of receiving feedback and giving feedback. So I really do appreciate those words and those thoughts because I can tell you, I did not want to give speeches, you all. I would come to the meetings and I wouldn't give speeches or participate because I didn't want to give feedback. I will want to avoid that part. So if that's you, yes, if that's you who you said you don't want to give, you don't want that feedback process, I will tell you this is the only way we are going to grow. I will tell you that in this being uncomfortable is the only way we can progress and move forward. So definitely want to encourage you all to not allow that to stop your growth in receiving that feedback. Allow it to nourish you and to propel you forward. For me, a lot of what I was going to share was coincidentally a lot of what you shared out there of what I learned as the vice president of education within my club. Shout out City of Columbus. I recognize that there are so many creative ways of how someone like you were making mention can get credit for their pathway with doing things not only inside of Toastmasters, but outside of Toastmasters. For instance, you have a project coming up and you need to present before your colleagues and you are nervous. You're not really sure what to share. You need to share some data and you're really not sure how to go about presenting that information. Listen, get with your vice president of education within your club. Get with some folks who understand the Pathways program and tell them about your journey. Tell them about what you are experiencing. Tell them how you are preparing something for your work and you're not sure how you can incorporate it within the Toastmasters, your pathway. I guarantee you there's a way that you can incorporate it. Case in point, I remember there was one person from my club, shout out, Susan Booher. She was working on a home project, and what she ended up doing was taking photos from that home project and sharing it with the club. So not only was she able to incorporate things that she was doing at home within her pathway, she was also able to encourage other people like, wow, you can do that. And that encouraged them to know that they can also carry out projects and things like that around the house. I've also seen a member, shout out Scott Garver, who was actually cooking. You talk about dishes for cleaning the dishes, Sydney. He was cooking for his wife. So I'll leave the dishes up to him on how he got done with that part. But he was cooking for his wife and he was actually doing a demonstration for his pathway. So he was knocking out two birds with one stone. You see the creativity in that? For me, I spoke at my father's funeral and I remember getting up and sharing some words. And because it was recorded, I could give that information, that recording to a fellow member, and then they can give me feedback. So there are lots of creative ways of how you can incorporate your Toastmasters journey within the pathways. I like to say it like this, team. Make it all inclusive. Toastmasters is not something that you do on the side. You can make it all inclusive to everything that you're doing along the way. If you're giving a toast at a wedding, if you are on a podcast, if you are speaking at a whatever that may be, there is a way, a creative way of how you can incorporate Toastmasters on your journey. So I want to encourage you all to look at, again, look at Toastmasters as not something in addition, but something that can be integrated into your everyday life. Because at the end of the day, what I recognize is that we're better mentally, we're better emotionally. For me, I like to say I'm better spiritually, I'm better physically in health. And you know what? That takes a toll in every area of our life, in our family, community, work, and everything that we do. So definitely want to encourage you all to see Toastmasters in some of what I said in the light of how you may be seeing it as well. So definitely, I appreciated this segment of what we have learned. And now I am looking forward to getting right over into some news that we all can use. And that is none other than out there.
Well, I'm going to throw it over to Angela because that's her segment.
So these
thank you.
It's the A name, just throwing them off.
or I'm in a different month. That's what it that could definitely be it. Yeah.
All good. Angela, over to you, dear.
I'm sorry, my little puppy's going crazy. Hopefully you can't hear him. But I'm grateful for you guys, and I just think everything has tied in together because I'm hearing what you guys are saying about using all this outside stuff and these experiences, but also what Judy was saying, she wanted to be a distinguished Toastmaster, right? And that not only are we kind of saying, let's use these outside experiences to count towards our check boxes over here in Toastmasters, but we are becoming better speakers, you know, in real life outside of Toastmasters, and we're using it and you know, it's news that we can use. And no, I'm just playing on my words there, but I did want to say the only insight I wanted to add is that and Lamar, you kind of touched on this. People do want us to see us succeed. People genuinely, especially within Toastmasters. I went to the conference and I guarantee you there wasn't a soul in that room that didn't want to see me succeed at anything I did in life. I have never met a more genuine group of people. And so and that's a lie we tell ourselves sometimes. We lie to ourselves. Our thoughts can be lies. It doesn't have to be, whatever you believe in spiritually. It doesn't have to be the devil. It can be yourself. You're lying to yourself. People do genuinely want to see us succeed. So that's news that I think I can definitely use. What about you, Althea?
Well, that's some good stuff, man. I'm loving this episode, you guys. Like, we're really, I'm feeling the encouragement. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back and try to get another DTM.
Hey.
But I'm just loving just the conversation tonight. So I really appreciate all of you for just contributing in your own individual way. But just the news that I have that the people can use. It is training season. All right. All you club officers out there, yes, all of you, it is time to get trained. Yes, again, for the winter season. So with that, we've already had 2 sessions for a TLI so far in the month of November. And coming up, there's going to be another opportunity for you all to attend a Toastmasters Leadership Institute training session. The next couple are actually going to be virtual sessions. So for the next 2 ones, we have one that's coming up December 7th. That's on a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the next one will be Saturday, January 11th, 2025. Cannot believe we're almost at 2025. Same time, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That particular TLI looks like it's specifically for the Dayton area. So, but with that, although it may not be specifically in your area, if it is a virtual training, you have full opportunity to attend if you miss any that were in your respective cities. So to do that is really easy. I went online and registered for one of the virtual sessions. Real quick, you get the link, you get the confirmation, you get the credit for training, and you help your club earn their distinguished club program points. So just want to remind all of you Toastmasters who are club officers, or even those of you that aspire to be club officers, this is again a great opportunity for you to come and learn more about those club roles, for you to network with, maybe meet a mentor and have someone kind of help you along the way. So when you're ready to serve in that club officer role, you feel confident that you'll be able to be effective in that role. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn things over to Sydney to share what news that the people of District 40 can use.
Thank you, Althea. What we have, I remember I used to have a chemistry professor named Dr. Kadovic who would often say, "What we have here is the following," and he would always, which was his funny little redundant way of saying, "I'm going to share my information with you." The information we have here is a reminder of the Program Quality Director's initiative of Wednesday webinars. These are more or less a compendium to what you might get out of TLIs. They're just little tidbits, little topics that you can use all throughout the month. And they have these, looks like they have these almost every week, actually, including a session taught by Jeff Faw, who was actually not only a past district governor, but a past international director, as I recall it. I think someone talked about that tonight. This coming week, we have on the 23rd a webinar about contests. And many of these you can actually go and view and download past episodes if you missed a topic that you particularly liked. There's one here I might check out myself later that I missed. But there's even one here on marketing a speechcraft series or building leaders or Zoom basics and all kinds of odds and ends. And you can find it here on the District 40 website under E40 Wednesday webinars. I think you can click around here, see if you can find it here. Well, you can find it here somewhere on the side menu. And I recommend if you want something that's more supplemental, maybe something you listen to in the car on the way home from work, this is a good reach. And with that, I will turn it over to Angela. Lamar. What news do you have you can use?
Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate that. So, news that you all can use. Something that you may or you may not think about. And that is you can save money in a creative way. One of the things that I like to do, folks, is at the end of the year, is I like to reach out to my cell phone provider, my insurance agencies, and I like to ask them, hey, I've been a loyal customer here. Is there any further discounts and or any promotions that yours truly need to know about so I can save on some money coming into the new year? So, I actually did that, you all, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I saved $10 on my cell phone bill a month. So add that up. And now I want to be able to share this news with you all. Maybe it's something that you will consider as we get closer to as what we've been saying here. I know out there we're here, 2025. So as we're getting closer here, maybe you want to reach out to your insurance providers, if that's car, house, whatever that may be, and just ask them the questions of if there any new promotions. Maybe you want to shop around. You want to shop around and maybe change some of your providers if that's your cell phone carrier or insurance folks or whoever that may be. But definitely want to be able to put some more money in your pocket as we are going on into the new year. So definitely uh, feel free to write us and let us know on our YouTube channel of how you save money and or anything that we've been talking about. Let us know some of the things that you want to talk about. We'll love to be able to engage with you all in that way. So, all right. So now I am going to kick things over for our speaker evaluation, and that is none other than Sydney.
Thank you, Lamar. Thank you, everyone, for those awesome news you can use tidbits. This will be our final segment where we call it, I guess you could call it speaker/evaluation. As you guys know, and as we mentioned previously, yours truly mentioned, evaluations are one of the cornerstones of the Toastmasters program. How else can you get better if you don't know if you don't have feedback during this segment, we are going to put our evaluation skills to the test. The speech that we choose, let's see, excuse me, I have my notes mixed up. The speech we can choose pretty much can come from anywhere. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be informational, and then we'll each watch it, give it a 1 to 2 minute evaluation as if we were in a regular club. For this video, the synopsis is public speaking for beginners. Free 7 instant tips for confident and composed public speaking from Alexander Lyon on YouTube. Give me 1 sec here while I pull the link up. I will share my screen here real quick. I generally love Zoom, but I feel like an old man when it comes to sharing my screen. That's my only Achilles heel.
In this video, I'll share public speaking tips for beginners. So if you're just getting started in your stand-up speaking experience, this video is for you. So let's unpack the details. Hello there and welcome to this channel, Communication Coach. If you've never tuned in yet, this channel is here to help rising leaders increase their personal impact so you can lead the people around you with more excellence. And today we're talking about communication skills specifically. If you haven't had a lot of experience doing stand-up speaking, I'm going to give you some do's and some don'ts that'll help move you in the right direction. And as we talk about these do's and don'ts, I want you to pick out which ones you think would help you the most, and feel free at any point to comment in that section below the video. So I said do's and don'ts. We're actually going to start with the don'ts and then give you the do version of it. So that's the way we'll organize it. So the first pair goes like this. Don't ramble and get long-winded. Anytime a speaker is disorganized and weaves all around, it's very hard to follow what he or she is talking about. And instead what you want to do is give a nice organized and concise message. That means you have to take the time beforehand when you're preparing to create a nice introduction, body, and conclusion. Make sure you have clear main points and there's a transition statement between each main point. Your audience is really going to appreciate an orderly presentation of your ideas, and it's much more likely that they'll remember what you said, and really that's the whole point of speaking to them in the first place. The next don't is don't look with your eyes in the wrong places. You want to not look over people's heads or not look at the floor and not stare at the ceiling or scan around like that. What you want to do is look directly into a person's eye long enough to finish a thought and then move on and look directly into the next person's eyes long enough to finish a thought. One public speaking teacher told me, one thought, one look. In other words, about a sentence or a half a sentence and then move on to the next person. Now, this is very difficult to do if you're not used to it. It can feel very awkward looking right into someone's eyes, but you have to gear up for this because that's what audiences want. We want people to connect with us. If you're not looking into our eyes and making us feel like we're part of this, then you're not going to have much of an impact. The next thing you want to do is this is a don't clutter up all your notes with too many details. A lot of times we're tempted to jam our notes or our PowerPoints with everything we want to say. But the result is when we're nervous in the moment, we end up just locked into our notes and looking down the whole time and reading and sounding really stiff, really wooden, and you're not going to, again, connect with people. So what you want to do instead is pare down your notes so that you can just have a conversational style with your audience. And again, as you're practicing, you have to whittle down those notes so that all you have is like talking points, like a little grocery list of items that you're going to talk about. And it almost forces you, or at least frees you, to connect with people, to look up, and to have a nice normal conversation with them in your natural personality. The next don't is you don't want to load up your slide with all complicated animations and text. And one of the reasons is you don't want to stare at it and read from it. The other reason is that it's very hard to follow what's going on if your slides are jam-packed with detail. What you want to do instead is make sure your slides are nice and clear and simple and help you make whatever point you're making in that particular moment. A rule of thumb that I like to use is if you're spending more than about 2 or 3 minutes on each PowerPoint slide, then you're probably wasting your time. And I don't recommend using more than a couple of slides per presentation anyway if you're a beginner, because people tend to over-rely on the slides and load up each single slide with way too much. The next don't is don't fidget. Don't fidget with your hands. Don't fidget with your feet. Don't pace back and forth aimlessly because you're nervous. What you want to do instead is have nice, confident posture where you stand in one place for a little while. And then if you want to move with a purpose, move, stand in another place for a while, and then share another part of your message. Move for the purpose, stand still, share some of your message. Don't just pace. Have nice, confident posture. Same thing with your hands. You want to use gestures and emphasize your ideas with your hands. You don't want to fidget and put them in your pockets or play with a pen or do anything else weird or distracting like that. That's a big part of how you come across non-verbally, and I recommend that when you're practicing, you work on this as well. And the last don't and do is how you use your voice. What you don't want to do is speak too softly, use a lot of fillers like and and so. What you want to do is have a confident voice where you speak loud, like to the back of the room with a nice clear volume. Aim for the back of the room, because think about it, you have to reach those people. The other thing you want to do is emphasize your key words with the sound of your voice, and also pause after you share a key idea or a key thought. Pause for a minute silently. Don't fill it up with an or an The pause is much more effective. So here are some do's and don'ts, some tips for beginners. Again, as I mentioned, where do you see yourself in here? Which one do you think would help you the most in this list? I would love to hear your comments in that section below. So thanks, God bless, and I will see you in the next video.
Well, we can open up to evaluations. Angela, would you like to start?
Sure. I could see myself in a lot of these things, but they were all really good advice. I like the check boxes and the actual presentation of it, slide at the end. I thought that was a cool added feature because it wasn't, like he was saying, some complex slides. It was just a nice visual. He had good, I liked how he'd get excited about something he was saying, but then he would slow the pace a little, because I tend to get excited and then just keep on like, oh, and like word vomiting on people when I get excited about something. So I like that he would slow it down and stuff when he would like get excited about a point. And obviously he was smiling, good eye contact. The only thing, and good, hands, maybe a little too much hands at sometimes, but it seemed to kind of shake his body a lot sometimes. That's the only thing I could say is, if I wanted to think of something he could improve upon in his speech. Obviously all good content in what he was saying and good tips, but that's the only kind of tip I think I could give, is that there was a lot of kind of body shaking going on at different times when he was getting excited. His hands were moving his body. But that's all I got. What about you, Althea? What you think?
So I appreciate all of those tips. One of the things that I got as a speaker, as far as feedback is concerned, is I use my hands too much. I felt that he was like me. He was using his hands a lot to kind of emphasize, to draw attention to what he was saying. And what I realize why I do that is because it's like a anxious response. So I have this ring that I wear, and it's like a fidget kind of like ring. So like those of us that like to have busy hands and your hands need to do something, I would oftentimes in meetings just sit there and just play with my ring. And for some reason, it kind of calms me down. Because I'm the kind of person too, like Angela, when I get really excited, I start talking really fast. I feel like I'm going to start stumbling over my words. So I appreciate that he was able to give us some tips on slowing things down, inserting those pauses. And I need to remember those. Even as a DTM, Lamar, you still need to remember those tips and tricks. So I appreciated that. So I think the only feedback that I would give him would be the same feedback that I receive as I'm doing right now, using my hands as I'm talking, is to minimize the use of your hands as you're talking, because for Sydney, that could be a distraction. So I need to be mindful of how that would come across to anyone that's observing my speech. So I'll turn things over to Lamar to kind of share with us what he thought about the speech. All the hands, I love it.
Yeah, actually, thank you all so much. Well, thank you for what you just shared out there. When I look at his hands and when I recognize someone has a certain style of how they speak, I'm very mindful what is natural for them. And if this is something that they do naturally, for instance, we have a guy in our club, he has a small notebook. Like, picture this being a small notebook. And he would kind of do like this in his hand while he was talking. But it was natural for him. And it's like a signature. I can see that being a signature for him. And we see everyone has a style. And if we watch a stand-up comedian or if we watch a speaker, they have a certain style about them that distinguishes who they are. So for me, the hands, if that's how he communicates in that way, that's his unique style. I would say one of the things that I believe he did well was, like you said, Angela, is the points that he talked about do's and don'ts with. Let's jump right into it. And not only that, I love his introduction, how he said what he was going to say, and then he said it. And the way that he said it was easy to follow around how he was going to break into the do's and don'ts. So I know that's one thing that I definitely want to learn and get better at is the introduction and how I flow. So definitely, and I'm with you, Angela. I can see some of the ways of me, specifically rambling. I have a tendency to definitely go and ramble. I felt one of the things that he could improve on is his tone. For me, that was major. I felt his tone was really mono for me. And I really do believe that he could get a little bit more animated around his tone and how he is sharing the things that he's sharing. And I would have liked for him to change the tone at some of the points that he was making. Like, don't do this. So don't just going. He talked about he had the graph where he was talking about rambling, but maybe just saying exactly like, hey, you don't want to say that you was going to the grocery store one day and then you was over your grandma's house the other day. I think that could bring some humor into his speech and then also align what exactly he is saying don't do. The the one small thing that I noticed was the checklist on one of the checklists for the don'ts was he had an actual check mark and not an X. So that was very small. And then also, I would change that music. That background music. I don't know if y'all were paying attention or if y'all were listening for that kind of thing, but for me, that don't cut it. That the background music either have no music or change the style and type of music. And then also, he has a bright smile. I would have loved to see him smile more as he is presenting. I think definitely that will communicate more with his audiences. Sydney, over to you.
Thanks, Lamar, and everyone. I feel like I dissent a little from a lot of the points they made, but you guys made, but at the same time, it's difficult to gauge because he's trying to alternate between his face, his points, and his slides. Can't really see my hand here, but he has kind of those three parts going in tandem, all in a rotating motion. And I feel like because his screen time with his face is so relatively brief, his opportunity is hindered in his ability to move around his body. And he kind of has to get his points off as quickly as he can to keep the video under 6 minutes, which I think he did a good job of. I think his points were there's a resource for how to learn to speak quickly, a little mini course on Toastmasters website that I like a lot, but this is kind of like a crash course of the crash course for if you just do the tip he suggested on filler words and pauses, that'll say all of that'll keep the master happy right there.
Yeah.
But the thing I enjoyed about that was I feel like it also made me think of my own personal weakness where if I get excited about something, I tend to speak way too fast. That's always been my Achilles heel. Or sometimes I'll stutter if I speak too speak too fast. I'm kind of the opposite of Lamar in that regard. He's I'm sure you make your master happy almost every time because I never hear you say any ahs or ums. Whereas in contrast, if I get nervous, I might slow down and speak at a volume no one can hear, which is very unusual because I have a naturally booming voice. So, but his point of think of the person in the back of the room. I rarely look at my audience, especially in virtual meetings like this. I'm often focusing more on my voice than I am the audience, and audience awareness and audience engagement, I think, is another thing I tend to stink at a little bit. So I felt like I was the one who was evaluated against his video more than I felt his video had key weaknesses, only because the presentation matters, but to me it was secondary to the content that he was trying to get off. So I wouldn't say that none of your points are invalid, but to me that was more the thing I got out of it was the content was good, except that one checkmark thing Omar mentioned. I did see that, but that's just a minor YouTube edit. But I think that that's all I got for the evaluation. Otherwise, I agree. All your points were good. Back over to you, Althea, to close us out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about the evaluations. We're all going to see different things. We're all going to experience the speech, the content in different ways. We're going to have different, feedback to provide. So, and that's just the beauty of it, right? And for those of us, we'll take the ones that we really resonate with. We'll be gracious and grateful for the feedback and apply that to come back next time and be more cognizant of the person at the back of the room, or the use of a prop or a PowerPoint by death or something of that nature. So those are all really great points. So great episode again, as always, you guys. I am just really excited to be on this journey with you all. You guys have just been amazing. Again, just seeing how we've been able to come together as a team and just have a great podcast episode every month. I'm just happy to be on this journey with you. And as we close things out, District 40, we thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We want to wish each and every one of you happy holidays, with Thanksgiving coming up next week. And be sure to join us next month again, because Thanksgiving and Christmas falls on the 4th week in the month. We've moved up a week. So same thing for December. We'll be recording on the 3rd Tuesday, just to allow people to have spend time with their family and loved ones during
Yes.
Yep. So with that, District 40, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you.
Yes.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
guys.
Enjoy, everyone.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
time, spend time with your family. Take
Happy
time
Thanksgiving.
off.
Have a great-
Absolutely. Enjoy the holidays.